My girlfriend burned my limited edition $150,000 comic collection to impress her influencer friends. So I sued her for destruction of property. I, 27M, have been collecting comic books since I was 12, pouring every spare dollar into building my collection. I'm talking rare first editions, limited runs, and special variant covers, the crown jewel being my mint-condition first appearance of Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy number 15 that I inherited from my grandfather. My collection was worth well over $150,000, with some individual issues being worth tens of thousands. My ex-girlfriend, 25F, and I had been dating for about a year. She was always chasing social media fame, constantly trying to get more followers and engagement on her accounts. At first, it was just harmless TikTok dances and Instagram reels, but things started getting weird when she began hanging out with this group of influencers who specialized in extreme prank videos. I never really liked her new friends, especially after they convinced her to do increasingly outrageous things for views. She once filled my entire car with packing peanuts while I was at work, which took hours to clean up. Another time, she replaced all my clothes with identical ones 2 sizes too small, claiming it would be hilarious to watch me try to get dressed for work. I told her these pranks weren't funny, but she'd just say I was being too sensitive and that it's just content. The real problem started when her videos weren't getting the engagement she wanted. Her influencer friend suggested she needed to do something totally crazy to go viral. I started noticing her eyeing my comic collection whenever they came over to brainstorm video ideas. I explicitly told her my collection was off limits, not just because of its monetary value, but because of its deep personal significance. One weekend, I had to go out of town for a work conference. I made her promise not to do anything with my comics while I was gone. She acted offended that I would even suggest such a thing, swearing she understood how important they were to me. I believed her. That was my first mistake. When I got back home 3 days later, something fell off. The apartment smelled like smoke, and there were weird black marks on my living room ceiling. I rushed to my collection room, and that's when my entire world crashed down around me. The room was completely destroyed. Ashes everywhere. The custom-built display cases were empty, with melted plastic and charred remains of what used to be my most prized possessions. On the floor lay my grandfather's Amazing Fantasy number 15, or what was left of it, just a corner of the cover with Spider-Man's hand visible, the rest reduced to ashes. But the worst part, the whole thing had been live-streamed. My ex and her influencer friends had turned my collection's destruction into a viral moment. They called it the Burn Your Boyfriend's Precious Things Challenge. The video showed them laughing as they doused my comics in lighter fluid and set them ablaze, all while chanting some stupid catchphrase they'd made up. I couldn't even speak. I just stood there, staring at the destruction. Then my phone started blowing up. The video was going viral, but not in the way they'd hoped. Comic book communities were outraged. Collectors were identifying rare issues being destroyed in the footage. People were calculating the estimated value of what they'd burned. The backlash was intense. My ex burst into the apartment, crying and panicking. Her influencer friends had abandoned her when the video started getting negative attention. She tried to hug me, saying she'd make it up to me and that she didn't realize how expensive they really were. When I backed away, she switched tactics, claiming it was just a prank and that I was overreacting. Then came the kicker. She actually suggested I should be thanking her because now I was internet famous. I didn't say a word. I just took out my phone and called the police. She went ballistic, screaming that I was ruining her life and her career. When the police arrived, they documented everything. The live stream video, the damage, the ashes, it was all evidence. They arrested her for destruction of property, and given the value of what was destroyed, it was a felony charge. Her parents showed up at my apartment the next day. They tried to convince me to drop the charges, offering to work something out. But when I mentioned the total value of the collection, they changed their tune real quick. They started claiming their daughter was influenced by bad friends and that I should have kept the comics in a safer place. They even had the audacity to suggest that by allowing their daughter to live with me, I had somehow given her permission to do whatever she wanted with my possessions. That's when I contacted a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, I reached out to one who specialized in both property law and intellectual property rights, recommended by a comic book store owner I knew. The lawyer's eyes lit up when he saw the live stream evidence. Not only did we have clear documentation of willful destruction of valuable property, but we also had proof that she had monetized the destruction through the live stream platform. The lawsuit I filed was comprehensive. We went after not just the value of the comics, but also the emotional distress, the damage to my home, and the income she'd made from destroying my property. Her influencer friends weren't off the hook either. As participants in the destruction who had also profited from it, they were named in the suit as well. My ex tried to play victim on social media, posting tearful videos about how she was just trying to create content and how nobody told her the comics were so valuable. But her own live stream betrayed her. There was clear footage of her friends discussing the potential value while they were setting up the burn. One of them had even joked about how many views they'd get burning up a fortune. The court proceedings were intense. My ex's defense tried every trick in the book. They argued that since we lived together, there was implied consent for using each other's possessions. They tried to claim that my collection wasn't properly insured, so it couldn't have been as valuable as I claimed. They even attempted to argue that since some of the comics were inherited, I couldn't prove their exact value. But we had experts from major comic grading companies testify about the collection's value. The documented live stream showed my ex explicitly acknowledging she knew these were valuable collectibles. Her social media history revealed multiple instances where she bragged about her boyfriend's expensive comic collection, proving she knew exactly what she was destroying. The real turning point came when one of her influencer friends turned on her. This friend had saved texts where my ex discussed planning the destruction weeks in advance. She'd written things like, "It'll be worth losing the comics for all the views we'll get, and he has insurance, he'll get over it." The friend took a plea deal and agreed to testify against my ex. During cross-examination, my ex finally cracked. She admitted she'd done it for views, thinking it would make her go viral in a good way. She confessed to planning it while I was away, specifically because she knew I'd stop her if I was home. When asked about my grandfather's comic, she said she'd chosen to burn that one first because she knew it would get the biggest reaction from me. The judge was not amused. The final judgment came down hard. My ex was ordered to pay $175,000 for the collection's value, plus $50,000 in punitive damages. Her influencer friends who participated were ordered to pay $25,000 each. The judge also ordered that any revenue generated from the video or subsequent content about the incident had to be turned over to me. But the legal victory wasn't the end of it. The comic collecting community rallied around me. Store owners who'd known me for years helped me track down replacements for some of the less rare issues. A veteran collector who was retiring actually gifted me some valuable issues from his collection, saying he'd rather see them go to someone who truly appreciated them than sell them at auction. The hardest part was accepting that some things couldn't be replaced. My grandfather's amazing fantasy number 15 was gone forever. No amount of money could bring back that specific comic that he preserved so carefully and passed down to me. The sentimental value was irreplaceable. My ex tried to stage a social media comeback, posting a heartfelt apology video that was clearly crafted by a PR team. It backfired spectacularly when comic collectors and enthusiasts flooded the comments with detailed lists of every rare issue she destroyed. Her influencer career was effectively over. Last I heard, she had to move back in with her parents and is working a regular job, still making payments toward the judgment. Her influencer friends didn't fare much better. The backlash affected their sponsorship deals, and many brands dropped them after being associated with the destruction of valuable collectibles. They too had to find regular jobs to pay their share of the damages. I've started rebuilding my collection, but more carefully this time. I invested in a proper security system and a fireproof safe for the most valuable issues. The whole experience changed how I approach relationships. I'm more cautious now, but I also understand that most people aren't like my ex. I've recently started dating someone who actually shares my interest in comics. She was horrified when she learned about what happened to my collection and has helped me track down some replacement issues. Looking back, I realized that no number of social media followers is worth destroying something that means so much to someone else. The courts agreed, and justice was served, but the whole incident left me with a deeper appreciation for the comic collecting community and a better understanding of what really matters in relationships.